Today we're going to put the Nexus 6 back together. First we want to reattach the front and back cameras to the main board. For the rear facing camera, you want to slide the connector back into the port and then lock it down by closing the little gray lock. Okay, now we just slide the front facing camera back in place. Now that's done, we're going to set the main board back into the body of the phone. When you set the main board in place, make sure that none of the flex cables get caught behind it. Once the main board is in place, we're going to want to connect the flex cables to it. We'll start with the touch sensor first, and as this cable kind of fits in the case in a very specific way, you want to make sure you have it lined up right. Then you'll want to grab your tweezers and slide the end back into the port. You may need to pull up the tape so you can fit the plug in, but once you have it set in place into the port, you're going to want to put the tape back down to hold it securely there. Next is the front display, which is a lot easier. You just slide it right back in and lock it in by pushing down on that locking bar. Now we'll replace the bracket and screw so the board is held securely in place. Okay, we're finishing up here, so let's move on to the back cover. First, we'll replace the AUX port. Make sure you have it facing the right way, then you simply just snap it right back into place. And we'll use our tweezers to set the rubber housing back into the slots too. Now let's get the front speaker back in, make sure it's lined up and just pop it right back in. Now we need to set the side buttons back into the case. Make sure the contacts are facing out of the case and slide the flex cable through the hole and just set it back into the frame. Okay, let's set the buttons in. These are easy to put back, just line them up and just drop them right back in. Now we'll use our tweezers to put the locking piece back in place. And lastly, we'll replace the screw with our screwdriver, and now the buttons are done. Finally, we want to put the battery back in the case. Make sure that the wireless charging coil goes in towards the back cover and that the flex cables don't get caught behind the battery. Then we want to use our tweezers to make sure the flex cable is set back in place. Squeeze down on the battery just to make sure it's stuck in there securely. And now we can start putting the front housing and the rear housing back together. Just align the two sides up and snap the back cover back together with the front assembly. You want to make sure that the two halves are fit properly together, then you can reattach the flex cable down at the bottom of the device. Then we'll replace that flex ribbon extender by first connecting the plug back into the top of the device first, and then we will need our tweezers to connect the two cables back together. Now we want to replace those covers on those flex cables at the top and bottom of the device. And time to replace those 22 screws. With the screws back in place, we will set the back cover in place. Make sure you squeeze it down to make sure the adhesive sticks well. Finally, we just need to replace the SIM tray, then we can turn the device back on and see how we did.